9 a.m. We're late. Where are you going, Steve? T-Rex, let's go out the door. 9 a.m. on Thursday, June 26th. I just turned the air conditioner off. It's been running for about 4 days, 5 days. The heat wave is gone. And I think, wow, look at that sky. I think it's actually warmer inside the house with the air conditioner. It is. It's 72 degrees inside my house, and it's 67 outdoors. So it's now warmer in the house where the air conditioner has been running than out the back door on this fabulous sky wave day. Those are altocumulus clouds, and they're undulating, and there is precipitation on the horizon. You can see it over in that direction. The rain is coming out of the sky. So much to talk about. The reason it's so late is I've been studying the weather for a couple of hours. So much about the last 4 days. Well, that's in the books. I guess the most concerning thing is data. I like the data quality, and at Logan Airport, something happened to the thermometer in the middle of the day, and it went from like 95 to 73 back up to 88 all in the matter of an hour or two. And so the low temperature in the almanac for yesterday is 73. I don't think that was the case because it was still 80 degrees around midnight in Boston. So I think we had a record high low temperature in Boston yesterday. I know on Blue Hill there was a record low high temperature. I didn't memorize that though. So what happened last night in the middle of the night on Cape Cod, look at the hourlies from Hyannis. At 2 a.m. it was calm air and the dew point was about 67 degrees. And then 3 hours later at 5 a.m. it was wind gusting from the northeast 25 to 30 miles an hour, and the dew point was down to 47. So the dew point went down 20 degrees in just a few hours. That is called a frontal passage, faux, and we call these backdoor cold fronts when the air comes in from Maine down to Cape Cod and then moves west into Connecticut, because that's sort of the opposite of a normal front that comes in from the west and southwest. And so what's happened this morning is the colder air is undermining the warmer air aloft. Cold air more dense than warm air, and all of a sudden jacket weather. He's wearing the same stuff he was wearing when it was 100 degrees. Just dresses the same. They keep on moving. Boy, they are fast. They are slow. It's two different crews there. And the one on the right has prevailing wage, and the one doing the concrete, it's a bid. So, all right, so enough of that. Look at the weather. There's rain coming out of the sky. We may end up getting wet here in the next few minutes. Wow, really dark sky off in that direction. Air coming from the east down low, but showers coming from the west up 6,000 to 7,000 feet and higher. How can that be? Well, low-level circulation. Here's what should we start with? How about the surface map for this afternoon? I mean, this is about 2 p.m. Probably by the time I get my edit done, it already is 2 p.m. And it's a big, huge double-barrel 1025 high-pressure system, Ontario and Quebec. And that's a cool air pushing south at low levels of the atmosphere. And then you have all these low pressure waves on the front with the northern edge of the heat pushed way down to our south. And each one of those waves of low pressure is going to come along, and our clouds are going to be thickening, and there'll be showers, then there'll be some dry weather, and then thickening, and then showers. We're on the cooler side of the front for now, but that front's going to lift north into New England over the weekend, which is going to make it for a really challenging forecast, because the boundary between the new cool that's arrived and the warm that doesn't want to go away because it's just going into the beginning of summer, is going to wreak havoc with our forecasts, including our weekend forecast. That's a satellite image this morning. Weather roundup, excuse me, at about, I was close to 9 a.m., I think. Worcester, the airport there in Worcester, a little elevated, temperature 66 and the dew point of 46. It's almost chilly outside, and you see all these wind barbs from the east and the northeast, so it is windy down low. And let's look at the radar. Can do a couple of things. I show you the Boston, or it's actually Norton, Massachusetts radar, and you can see the showers scattered around Connecticut especially, and some heavy rain off to the south of Rhode Island. And those raindrops and showers are moving toward the east, even though our wind is coming in from the east. So this radar is also able to do a velocity azimuth display, showing what the wind is up in the sky. So at the bottom there, those bottom lines coming in from the east at 10 to 20 knots to about 4,000 feet. Then there's hardly any wind between 4,000 and 7,000 feet. Then you get up to 10,000 feet, up to 20,000 feet. That's the direction the rain clouds usually move in that layer. The wind is from the west at about 30 to 40 knots. So up in the sky, the air is coming from the west. Down on the ground, the air is coming from the east. That is differential advection. That is overrunning or cold air undercutting, and it's a reason to make it rain. The satellite image was just fabulous this morning. I get this one about 7:30, and it showed nothing but clear sky and beautiful weather in the lakes from Vermont to New Hampshire to Maine. Thinner, higher cloud to the north of that, a thicker cloud to the west of that. And then in southern New England, we have a thick cloud. And south of New England, those are towering cumulonimbus clouds with thunderstorms south of Long Island. The closer you get to the heat, the bigger the clouds. Yesterday, Pilot Pete was flying as a passenger. He's a jet pilot, though. But this time he was a passenger, and he was going over to the Baltimore area. They were supposed to stop in Baltimore, but there was a microburst going on. He got an image of a microburst from his window seat on a 737. Amazing. And he also got these pictures of the tops of those clouds, which are up around 45, 50,000 feet. The pilots had to go around them. They had to refuel to Tampa. Thank you, Pilot Pete. Where's the video? You said you got a video of that microburst, but we wanted to include you because those kind of clouds are on the boundary between the hot and the cold, and that boundary is now well south of New England, as we just saw in our satellite image. And so the heaviest thunderstorms are going to miss New England. We're not expecting severe weather, but these overrunning rains can overachieve. A few spots. Connecticut yesterday picked up an inch of rain, and Martha's Vineyard yesterday picked up a quarter of an inch of rain. Those were in spot showers. Now, let's go to the NAM and talk about how much rain could fall. And again, it's a rainfall lottery here. You have a wave of low pressure and crossing New York and Vermont and New Hampshire, and you've got these other spot showers in southern New England. This is today, and look at the thickness numbers. The thickness is still near 570. Oh boy, that's so difficult to explain. So conditions have to be just right to add the 20 to get the temperature at, you say, a 570 plus 20 would be 90 degrees. Well, it only works when it's sunny and you have a land breeze. So there you're in a warm air mass, but because this cold undermining high pressure is resulting in temperatures in the 60s and this off and on rain, I'm going to continue it right into Saturday. And there's Saturday at 2 p.m. Sorry, I was talking over most of that. So you saw the rains come and go, and the front is going to lift back north as a warm front on Saturday. Southern New England's going to turn steamy again. As for QPF, quantitative precipitation forecast, how much rain is possible? Well, most of us are getting less than a quarter of an inch of rain. The light green is less than a quarter of an inch of rain. But once you get from the darker green to the blue, that's a quarter to a half inch of rain. And once you get to the purple, now you're talking about an inch of rain. So there can be localized amounts of an inch of rain. And this also is through 2 p.m. on Saturday. And once again, we haven't had a dry weekend since February 22, 23. Timeout for animals. Yeah, I break for birds, and I also break for cats and dogs. T-Rex has wrapped himself around the rose. Come on, Rex, this way. Go around that rose. I still haven't gotten to my cleaning out that garden, but so much to do, including going sailing yesterday, or boating yesterday, in the Inmore. All right. So these fronts are very challenging. The Boston meteogram, and it shows the blue line is the dew point staying down in the 40s and 50s for today and tomorrow. And then just as quickly as it went down last night, it goes back up on Saturday. And all of a sudden on Saturday, lots of clouds and showers between now and then. We get into the warm sector in the Boston area, and it's back into the low 80s with a break of sunshine and some showers Saturday, and the dew point's back up to 70. Now yesterday, remember the meteogram yesterday from the Euro model, same model, it had a 67 on Sunday. Now it has us at 84. So this is going to be the challenge of the weekend forecast. How far north does the warm front get? Often when these strong high pressure systems go north of us, it takes longer than what some of the guidance suggests. So it's going to be a tough call on Sunday. But I think we are getting humid again. Whether it gets really warm and the sun comes out, that's a tough call. And then we stay in that kind of warmer and humid air mass Monday, Tuesday, and there are going to be a couple of fronts with some powerful thunderstorms Tuesday into Wednesday. And it's still looking good late next week, July 3rd and July 4th, looking at low 80s and the dew point coming back down to 50 degrees for July 4th. So we're sticking with that optimistic outlook for July 4th. And now we'll show that in the synoptic maps with all the thicknesses and the isobars and the low pressure systems and the high pressure systems. And high pressure is usually what you have to pay attention to more than low pressure, because on the backside of these high pressure systems, we're now on the front side. On the backside, that's where you get your heaviest weather a lot of the time. So this high pressure system over Canada is keeping us cool with off and on showers and mostly cloudy today and tomorrow. And then that low tries to plow across Montreal, trying to drag a warm front into central and northern New England. North of the warm front, it's really going to pour. Still thinking the possibility of flash flooding. So another not so nice weekend for camping in the mountains of northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, much of Maine. That low goes right across with inches of rain Saturday, and then Sunday. The wind tries to come around from the west, and there'll still be probably a weak front over us, so breaks of sun possible with 80s south and probably 70s north, and then the warm air still trying to come at us. Look at the thicknesses are 570 to 576, but it's not going to be 90 to 96 because it's not going to be a completely sunny air mass, and it's going to be not a flow from the land, so therefore it is mild or warm and muggy with showers and thunderstorms there on Tuesday. And now we're going to see an upper-level trough digging in southeastern Canada at this point. And we're going to have another front come through on Wednesday. Now we're getting to July 2nd. And then on Thursday, July 3rd, it is very unstable with a chance of a shower, but it's the kind of day where hit-or-miss showers will be evaporating with the setting sun, so our fireworks in Weymouth should be good. And then on Friday, July 4th, again, it's a little bit unstable. There could be a sprinkle or a shower, but it looks nice. I'm going to stick with around 80 degrees with low humidity, and then it's going to be on the backside of that upper level low that we're going to see the clouds trying to come back in. There may be some showers around here. Sunday, July 5th, that is day 10 on our 10-day forecast from the Euro, so fairly consistent that it's going to be really nice July 3rd and 4th. The real inconsistencies are the next 48 to 60 hours with the placement of these fronts. Well, really, yeah, there are going to be several fronts. It's what is it, 67 degrees, so it was 35 degrees warmer than this just 36 to 48 hours ago. Wow, the fascinating weather of New England. Air coming in from the east down low, in from the west up high. Raindrops are in the forecast. The grass still is somewhat green. Is the grass still green at your house? It's a rainfall lottery. If I walk over here, maybe I can get a better view of this cloud incoming. So it's going to end up raining here in a few minutes, it looks like. But with those low dew points, the rain can fall out of the clouds and sometimes evaporate as it comes down, and that causes evaporational cooling, and that may get your temperature down to 60 degrees underneath some of these showers today. Resist the temptation to turn on the heat. All right, that's plenty. The weather part's done. The end more, not so much big dig, although I am fascinated with all of this. The sailors were out yesterday. The young sailors were out there off of Wessagusset, and I made a time lapse with the cumulus clouds building over them right in the same view right here. And then was down to OPYC. It was kind of a lazy day. And, hey, Doug, want to go watch the sailboat race? And he's like, oh, maybe. I guess so. All right, well, let's do that. And so we get to go out and watch the sailors last night in the Twilight Series. I guess this was the culmination of the first period of, say, their sailing season is 3 periods. You got your June, then you conclude June with a series finale last night. That was a pretty important race. Then you get July. There'll be a series finale in July, and then there'll be a final series in August. So I think they break into 3 periods. But my ignorance about sailing will show up in the end more as I have so many videos to edit, so that's why I'm a little late today. So the sailors out there would probably love this wind right now, but it was a gorgeous evening, so no regrets. That was really fun. Thank you, Doug, for taking me along. All right, here's the and more from yesterday. And more. Just about 10 a.m. Rex, you want to go out the slider here? And the air is just starting to shift on us here a little bit, which is nice. Now it's kind of from the north-northwest coming around, and Logan Airport hit 90 degrees at 9 a.m., confirming 4-day heat wave. But the Yggdrasil is pointed towards the north-northeast. That has to do with an incoming tide a little bit, and air from the north-northwest at this time. And I hope it stays a little bit breezy. I think it's going to start coming around from the east and diminishing a bit. Just a couple minutes later, it's not even 11 o'clock, and that was a really subtle boundary, wasn't it? Now the boats are pointed more toward the northeast, maybe to do more with moving water. And we've got convection, bubbling convection. Convection being buoyant air lifting and helped by surface convergence. Sea breeze front maybe a little bit. And so these little seeds are actually going to blossom into thunderstorms this afternoon. Very interesting. See them popping higher well inland. To predict the exact spot and timing of any of these is impossible. So we'll do the play-by-play. Oh, the young sailors are in the water. It's the first day, West Augusta Sailing School Camp. All right, it's 11 o'clock. I think what we're gonna do is make a time lapse. T-Rex checking things out. The air keeps on changing and we've got those cumulus clouds in the sailors. So why don't we watch the sailboats zip around and see how these clouds move. Because the air down near the ground may be coming from the east and the northeast, but the air aloft could be coming from the west. So that's convergence, and this should be a fun time lapse. We'll see. Straight up high noon. Clouds are definitely getting more beefy. I don't know where our sailors went. Logan Airport got up to about 93 around 11 o'clock. It's since back down to 91. I think it's a combination of the clouds blocking the sun and a bit of an onshore flow just developing. So it's really interesting. The cumulus, buoyant air going up over the land, and then you can see the sinking air over there, sinking air. And rising air is what makes the cumulus clouds. Wow, it's changing by the second. That is getting pretty thick. Can't see the bottom. They're growing quickly here. Get the bottom one there and the top one there. Getting up over 10,000 feet now, I would say. Almost make out some precipitation trying to form. So once again, now we're looking east towards Hingham. And that cloud was just reaching way up and it seems to have outrun its energy. So the low level flow is from the east and the upper level flow is toward the east. So look at that, gorgeous. The funnest cloud day of the year as far as the popcorn cauliflower cumulus go. The last half hour completely lost any buoyancy there. It's all subsidence now. So the sea breeze front's moving in. And that heron, same place it was when we got here the other day. Love that. We break for heron, and look at that cloud up there. So I'll get a little work party developing. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Fascinating. Look at the sea breeze front moving toward the west. Thunderstorms forming in the convergence area, moving toward the southeast. Right in that little triangle there with the wind from the east around Boston and South Weymouth, and the wind more from the west or even northwest. Across northern Rhode Island. So it's fascinating. Convergent zone, T-Rex, but we don't have a very good view in that direction. We face more towards the north and west where those storms are probably just off the horizon. 86 degrees or so here. It looks like the thermometer at Logan may have gone down. It was getting kind of weird where it was 79, then it was 93. So I think there might be some issues with the thermometer at Logan over there. And then we can see the little cell maybe producing a few raindrops. No sign of any thunder. So just a few really microscopic downpours. And the air was just coming in from the east pretty good for a second. The air is moving pretty good for sailing right now, but most of the guidance suggests that it's going to go light from the south and southeast. So really an interesting little meso weather event happening here in eastern Massachusetts today. More comfortable by a long shot than yesterday. More and more and more. Wow, look at the size of that jet. So they are taking off towards the east and then turning south again. The flight pattern has shifted along with the wind. Means they're landing from the west. Complete subsidence now, sinking air. And we're going boating again. Wow, really low tide on this new moon. Tide is high at noon and midnight and low at breakfast and dinner. Low, low, ducks in the water. Family of geese, they grow up so fast. Oh, P-Y-C. Oh, high speed lane. You're welcome. I mean, see you later. Going surfing. Puffy clouds are gone. Planes are taking off toward the east. Sea breeze front went all the way to Natick today.
Well, we're preparing to ramp. Well, we did the touch and go. It's so short.
Sure enough, that sea breeze is pretty much almost completely died down. Sea breeze front went well inland. The real front with the cooler air is not pushing until later tonight, so we're left with LV, as Jeff says. Light variable, kind of maybe southeast, 2 or 3 miles per hour, hopefully. There's no wind. So the wind is just barely from the southeast, and they're going to start into the wind between the white marker and the starter boat, so they'll be taking off towards Hull. So how do they decide where to put the starting line?
Well, that white ball is always there all summer, so that's always one end of the start-finish line. And as you can see, the committee boats were moving around. They're looking at wind direction and that type of thing, so they can set up the line. Usually the pin end is favored, so they're just keeping an eye on the wind and making their
race call. Is on. I think Jeff's just sitting on the line. Bigger boats go
right now. Yeah.
As we await the start, those clouds there on the distant southern horizon are showers now south of you on the Vineyard, Max. Did you get any raindrops today? So that high-res guidance did a pretty good job showing the showers moving from about Rhode Island down towards Buzzards Bay. All right, let's get this show on the road. It's a 3rd in a 3 series race, so there are a lot of points at stake tonight. Not much wind, but making the best of it. Kevin. I often point toward Hull Gut, and now we're pointing from Hull Gut toward out the door, whether or more up there on the right. Sounds like we may have at the beginning of a race.
That's the race.
All right, the race has begun, and there they are.
Or unless that could be 30 seconds.
Oh, it could be 30 seconds, right? Jockeying for position to get out of the gate first. It's like a
showtime coming up.
Who gets the whole shot? I think that's what they call it.
They can luff up other people.
Strategy right now.
As well as not. You don't want to be over the line early.
All right.
So Jeff's the boat turning now.
Here it comes. Here comes the start.
That's it.
The race is on. Bigger boats go first. Let's see how many we can count. The 2 boats getting the whole shot. 6-3, 4, 5-5. I can't read the one behind it. That's the starting line right there.
Oh, there goes Jeff. He's the one that's taken off. And he'll be beyond the committee boat, right? About now.
Okay, so he's got the lighter foresail.
Yeah, and he's in a very strong position at the moment.
Jeff always goes a different way than all the other racers. This is it. Should I speed it up? I don't have a tripod. It would look pretty awkward.
Big deal.
So I'm on the jet stream with Doug Kent, and we're looking out at his brother Jeff Kent on the Black Seal. Always going his own direction. Our maiden voyage for the season. Thanks for having me. Little peer pressure. Doug, can you take me? Doug, can we go watch the sailboat race? Doug, can we go watch the sailboat race? Doug, what are you doing tonight? Can you come out tonight?
We're gonna go watch the races.
It's birthday week. Where else would we rather be?
Not
All right, so we found a little bit of air here. Different heats are starting back there now. And we'll get some tacking going on. TK with the play-by-play of the sailboat race and the weather. 7 o'clock. Gorgeous. Wednesday night, Twilight Series sailboat race off of Hull, Hingham, Weymouth, Quincy. Counted about 20 boats. All right, the other boats that are tacking are kind of falling into 3rd and 4th place. And Black Seal, and I'm gonna get the name of that other one, jockeying for the first mark. I may be trying to call the play-by-play, but I'm not a racer, so I really don't know all the things that are going on. But I know beauty when I see beauty, and this is beauty. Wow, we get some air now. Going around the first mark. Very pretty. Black Seal up there with the white sail. Right there. That's 2 of them. Zoom, jet release. 3 liters right there. Great blue hill in the background. Oh, there goes the driver. Okay. I think I can do this. Steering wheel, right? Just take both of these and just put them forward. Alright, we're going 260 degrees. It's almost due west. And dead ahead are the leaders of the race and the great blue hill. Just make up the tower there. Okay, Tim, turn the wheel a little bit. Okay. All right, we didn't hit anything while you were gone.
Excellent job, Captain.
That's about as much boating as I like to do right there. I mean, driving. I'll go out on a boat pretty much any day, as long as we can see land. See all kinds of land, all kinds of islands. That's Sheep Island right there. Quincy that way. Penix Island that way. Hingham over there. Hingham turns into Hull over there. So on and so on. Shot of a big jet coming in, landing into the light breeze over Boston right now. We're almost ready to wrap this up. We're not going to stay for the finish. And if I were on my lawn now, I would be able to see the sailboats. And I would be making an edit from up there, off the Big Dig, as we come into the channel here, the Poor River. 3 liters right there. Just gorgeous. We're all winners. Is that the second mark? Round in the second mark. One of those are Black Seal. Changing sails. Black Seal's going around the mark second. TK's in the waves. Way to get around that second mark. Black Seal. Hard to say who has the lead now. Depends on what the air decides to do, eh? Captain predicts the air. And then the different classes back there. 7:10. All right, I think we've got plenty of video for today. It was so fun watching the sky and the young sailors this morning, and now the veterans this evening. Thank you, Doug, for hosting. A good time is being had by all. Play out some time lapse now. Additional time lapse of the entire day. First from Weymouth. Cumulus clouds billowing, and then the sea breeze front moved well inland all the way to Natick, and we cleared out, and there was a little bit of a breeze at the very end of the day. Just gorgeous. Went from the 90s to the 80s today. Little ferry wake to keep us going up and down and up and down. And how about a time lapse from Cape Cod? I would think there was some cloudiness. 90 degrees on Nantucket today. So on the last day of a heat wave, often Cape Cod is one of the warmer spots. I think Hyannis probably got to 90. Here at the house we probably get to 90. Putting the heat wave in the rear view mirror. Quite cold enough to have to turn on the heat, but cooler times are ahead.